Oh no! I don't want to see the toe socks. No.
Why do you?
Hokas and toe socks.
I do not understand the. Why do you have those? Because you're running your marathon?
Oh man, I'm keeping all this in there. Yes, I because when you
have
run,
athlete's foot again.
No, I don't have athlete's foot again. Here's what it is. When you run for like 24 miles, you're running for hours. For me, it's like 20 hours of running.
Isn't athlete's foot kind of presumptuous? Like, oh, I got it because I'm an athlete. You know, and athletes get this foot.
And not that I just haven't showered while playing video games for 8 days.
Yeah.
Well, I got it then too. But no, I'm just kidding. I just had it one time. It was during soccer season, which was in
I do not understand the advantage that toed socks give you, other than they take time away from you every day because you got to carefully make sure your toes line up in the right hole.
So these are moisture wicking. So the idea is that you I have long toes, so there's like a deep crevice for moisture to sit in there and rot. And yes, I wash my toes every single time that I shower. But the problem is, if you're sitting with your feet wet for 5 hours because you're running and they're sweaty that long, that's a lot. But if you have moisture wicking socks,
you gotta get some like baby powder on those feet or something.
Some Gold Bond.
Dry those dogs out.
I walked.
I have never heard of anyone being like, you know what? To solve my problems, toe socks.
Okay, but listen. I went to Fairway yesterday and bought some groceries, and I walked back in the house, and my wife was doing something in the kitchen. I was like, babe, they didn't even know. They didn't know how free my dogs were. They didn't understand. And she's like, did you tell them? Did you tell them how free your dogs were? Because even though they're confined in these tennis shoes, they can jiggle around, you know?
That's not an image anyone needs.
You have done some interesting life choice things, but this is at the top of the list. I just don't see the advantage. I see a lot of hassle trying to find toe socks. And as you just said while we were off air, you spent $90.
Yeah, I spent $90 on 8 pairs of socks, which isn't that bad. I got 8 pairs of socks. No, I got 7 pairs of socks, which is
that's pretty bad.
$12 a pair. It's not terrible. I mean, what is it? The Stance brand?
I heard something 25. Very sad.
What?
So did you know that there used to be a sock manufacturer here in Iowa and been here for like 100 years at least?
Really?
Yeah. In Osage, Iowa, Fox River Socks. And I heard that they are relocating to one of the Carolinas.
Oh, interesting.
There was somebody I met at the Deer Classic who's like, yeah, I'm from Osage, Iowa. I'm like, oh, that's where Fox River Socks are at. And he's like, well, not anymore. And so this just happened within the last few years, I believe.
Wow. Did he say why they moved? Because labor wouldn't be cheaper in Carolina.
I think they got bought out or something.
Oh, interesting. Or they might have gotten what they call like tax poached, where they basically like governors, are basically like wine and dine him to come, which is not.
And they used to make great. They made great work socks, and I wondered why I couldn't find them anymore. And my guess is,
so the whole brand got bought.
Yeah, I think the whole brand got purchased. But
by
now I don't know for sure, but this is just what they were telling me, and
interesting.
Kind of a disappointment.
Are you picky about your brand of socks?
I like Darn Tough.
I've heard really good things.
I like Carhartt socks. They make some really good, really thick for cold weather socks. And I like Fox River socks. And yeah, that's about it.
What about you, Riley?
I wear whatever socks fit on these dogs.
Dude,
that's about it. If it's not thick enough, put another layer on.
That's
That's
fine.
That's all she wrote.
So for 2 years now, I've only had 2 different kinds of socks. Long socks that were all the same and same brand and everything, and short socks that were all the same brand and everything, because it made matching socks really easy. Yeah. That's my one big picky thing. Well, now I like the five-finger toes. I really do. I like them a bunch.
I just don't get it.
I like
Are
them
going
a
to
bunch.
get the matching shoes, the 5-finger toe
No,
That's
shoes?
ultimate support
They paid
right
a
there.
giant settlement because their marketing was that it was better for your feet, and then it was proven that it wasn't better.
Which was based on like nothing, right?
yeah. I've asked.
Like I don't think they did one study to find out if it was better for your feet.
Yeah. So I get curious.
If I remember correctly.
Unfortunately for doctors and physical therapists and other professionals, like if I find out that they do that, I'm like, oh, what do you think about this trend? I like to ask them about trends, and all of them. I asked the foot thing, like, hey, is it better to actually not have support under your feet? All of them are like, yeah, no, that's totally a lie.
Are you
should
talking
have
about
support on your
like the
shoes.
whole grounding, the shoes that you're supposed to, what is it? You're more grounded, like the whole touch grass thing or whatever.
Yeah, or there's like just the no support
Zero
shoes.
XERO, or isn't that what those
Maybe.
those are supposed to be?
Yeah, and that's cool. You know, I've got family members that are like, but don't you understand? The universities that taught them that stuff are paid by the companies who make the shoes, you know? And I'm like, yeah. But the doctors I know are the most intelligent people I know. And if Kent and Riley and I can bumble around and figure out that there's companies behind paying for our water, propaganda, then they can figure out, you know what I mean?
Well, I always, when it comes to selecting footwear, I always have basically one question that I have to answer. Will I feel vulnerable in these shoes today?
Really?
And if the answer is no, then
physically vulnerable.
yeah,
Oh.
like if am I doing something today that if I were to drop something on my foot, my toes would turn to dust? Then I'm not going to wear my Hoka tennis shoes. But if it's just like a heavy podcasting day, yeah, I'll throw on the nice comfy tennies. But I like flip-flops always out, never an option for me.
Because the stuff you do is too tough.
No,
no room for flip-flops.
It just is. I hate that feeling of the strap between my toes.
Oh yeah.
And I hate getting sand on my toes. And so when you wear, the only time I can imagine wearing flip-flops
Is that church?
would be like going to the beach or something. And
Are you about to tell me you wear full-blown tennis shoes when you go to the beach? Ken?
I wear like slides.
Oh, okay.
And even that I hate.
Oh man.
I just I don't like going to the beach.
Do you go barefoot like outside in your lawn or
No.
anything?
No.
Really?
Oh, there's nails and stuff out there. I don't want to. It's got to answer the question. Will what I'm doing today? Will my feet be vulnerable?
So I'm.
But there's also a minimum too. Like the answer is never to go barefoot, never to wear flip flops.
I'm giving a talk at Upper Mississippi Water Conservation Conference or something, and here very shortly. And part of my talk, a little bit in there, is that the Midwest, by some analysis, it's more opinion based, is one of the least vulnerable cultures ever to exist.
Oh, like as far as like letting people in.
Yep.
More guarded.
And there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's different levels, but even getting upset with
We're a
someone.
steel toe culture.
yeah. Hey, look, I won't bother you. You won't bother me. You give me a compliment. I tell you that you're stupid. It's kind of, you get it. But all right, we should get started. A lot of companies talk about conservation, but I want to tell you about a company that actually puts their money where their mouth is. birdhuntersupply.com is a great company. I know the owner, Joe. He's a great dude. We've had the privilege of working with him, and let's just say he really puts his money where his mouth is. A large percentage of his profits from Bird Hunter Supply go to a conservation organization of your choice at checkout. So your purchase actually puts money towards conservation, and it's not just a roundup. It's not just asking you to donate on top of your purchase. This is included with your purchase. This man is running his very own small business version of Pittman Robertson, except without all the government stuff. I'm a big fan of that. So whether you're buying hunting apparel, decoys, dog training gear, you are actually going to be giving back to conservation. That is my friend Joe at birdhuntersupply.com. We love that company. We love what they have going on. Oh, and they do a really great job with their website. Makes it very easy. birdhuntersupply.com. Coffee Time Wednesdays with the Prairie Farm Podcast.
Can't hit us with the jingle.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Welcome back to the Prairie Farm Podcast, Coffee Time Wednesday. I'm your favorite host, Nicolas Lirio, with favorite co-host, Ken Boucher.
Howdy, howdy.
And your favorite co-host to the coast, Riley Rosendahl.
I was going to say howdy, howdy, but Ken just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah,
Howdy ho, good neighbor.
You guys are about the same age, using the same words. Before we get started, I got a little fun update for you.
Okay.
Have any of you guys heard of, this is about tort immunity, all right? Have any of you guys ever heard of Protecting America Initiative?
Is that what the federal government is using to justify the use of the tort immunity for
Kind of, but they're not doing it. They're not directly saying
agrochemical
that.
companies?
Yeah, yep, kind of. It is basically here. They did a study in Nebraska and Iowa, and here are a few of the things, or a poll. Sorry, not a study, a poll. 63 in Kansas and 64% in Iowa agree that the trial lawyers filing massive lawsuits against U.S. crop protectors are doing more to help China than they are to protect the American families. Oh, okay, so communists. 65% in Kansas and 66% in Iowa support state legislation offering legal protection to domestic agricultural manufacturers. That makes sense.
66?
Yep. Wow. Support. Yeah.
Interesting.
2/3 of GOP primary voters in Iowa and Kansas say that they would be more likely to support a candidate who voted to provide legal protection for American agricultural suppliers. So that seems, when you read those sentences, you go, yeah, of course, yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking right now.
Except
I see how that was so cleverly worded.
Cleverly worded. This was put together by Protecting America Initiative. Well, you know the senior advisor, one of the leaders of the Protecting America Initiative 501c3 is?
Wait, say that again.
One of the senior leaders, he's a senior advisor is his position, of Protecting America Initiative.
Who is it?
Yeah. You know his name? Anybody?
One of the board members for Bayer.
His name's Richard Grinnell. And if anybody who follows politics very closely would probably know, from 2018 to 2020, he was the ambassador to Germany.
Yeah.
And it's probably Bayer who sells more product to the U.S. It's either that or Volkswagen, right? Out of Germany.
Yeah,
But
probably.
He's not saying anything direct about Bayer in here. He's not saying anything about his time as ambassador but crazy. Probably the two, besides the actual German government, the two entities he likely spent the most time with or had the most power over the United States would have been Volkswagen and our good friends over at Bayer. Just a little update for tort immunity. So be careful when you're taking those polls and know who you're backing. Now, I want to be clear. They are wording it, and maybe actually me and the people who took the poll talking about domestic agricultural manufacturers. But they are framing it, you either support this tort immunity, like it feels like it's getting set up to, hey, look, it's either you support this tort immunity or you're a communist from China that wants Chinese, and I'm like, wow, those feel very different. But very impressive work, Mr. Richard. Very impressive work. But that's not my topic for the day. I got two of them. First, Farm Bill 2.0 check-in, because this is apparently what everybody wants to hear about. But then I've got a couple other things here. The first is that we have passed the committee, and we're at the House. And for the committee, it was 34-17, and 7 Democrats on the committee swung over to support the bill. And it's an 800-page bill that's now the House is now looking over it. I don't know when the vote will be, but kind of they're wondering, the far right or the very strong fiscal conservatives don't like spending money, right? So there's some conservation practices in there that they might kind of be, and some of the SNAP stuff, especially on, on the left. They want to kind of rip out some of this or amend the food stamp things that were going on in the big, beautiful bill. So that might cause a snag. And then even the Senate Ag Chairman, John Boozman from Arizona, has basically he signaled that he is not supporting it by not giving overall support. Usually if your party put something forward in the House, you go ahead right away in the Senate, and you would kind of make signals, hey, yeah, this is good. We're excited to get this in the Senate. But the fact that he hasn't done that at all, hasn't made mention, even though it's a huge part of what he's chairman of in the ag, he hasn't said anything, which gives indications that he might be upset that there's not more SNAP amendments. Maybe he doesn't like the conservation stuff. I don't know, but there's a pretty good chance we run into a brick wall in the Senate. And then, of course, September 30, 2026 is the end of the extension date. Who knows? Maybe they'll just extend it. It does feel like unless POTUS gets involved, nothing gets done. I'm not saying that he's the only one that gets anything done. It just feels like unless he brings media attention to something, it just sometimes feels like it doesn't get hammered through. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't understand sure, I'm not a politician, so maybe that's why I don't understand it. But you and I have had this conversation before, how when it's an election year, big things are often put off, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it should be the opposite, right? That should be the time when you were. That'd be like saying, it's the last drive of the game, and you're hoping for halftime. You know what I mean? You got the ball. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't quite make sense to me how everyone should want their record to speak for itself.
Yeah.
But that being said, evidently it's a truth that must be, that this is something that is practiced by politicians, where they avoid making a big any kind of big legislative move in their election year. And so normally I don't think the Farm Bill would be from my understanding, it was more of a routine process in, let's go 10 years ago, which really is, almost to that point when the last Farm Bill was voted into action. And so I don't anticipate much happening there. Also, we're in an extremely noisy time right now for a lot of big things happening in our country all at once, right? And it just seems like, which could work in the favor of maybe it does get done, right? Because it takes some of the pressure off of it a little bit, and it can kind of stay hidden behind, the war in Iran and stuff going on with the Epstein files and stuff going on with those doors are going to fly away here in a second. Riley's just looking at that and seeing dollar signs leaking out of the building.
I'm going to go grab them.
But some of those other really big news things that are happening, I could see that keeping it from, really being dealt with until 2027. I am encouraged that it's being looked at, though, and we're hearing news about it. And honestly, I've said this recently that on a podcast that hasn't yet come out. We all want immediate change, and for some things, you need immediate change, immediate action on, right? But also, there's a ton. Overall, you should want our country to turn like a battleship. You shouldn't want it to be this super, whips one direction to the other. I mean, I remember when I was listening to 1493, they were talking about how China went through an era of that where they kept having these new dictators be put in charge back in, around the Columbian time frame, and people's money would lose all of its value when a new dictator came in, because his face went on all the currency and he demanded that is the new currency. So all of your savings suddenly became worth whatever the metal it was made out, the scrap value of the metal.
Crazy.
And that's an example of where if things, are super herky-jerky and changing very rapidly, it's not good on a national level. And so, I hope they take their time to really put together a good farm bill, and I'm hopeful that will happen. And I think it'll be interesting to see, not that it's directly dealt with in the new farm bill, but some of the noise around E15 that's happened recently, how that will affect what they want to allot for, as far as it matters most directly to us here. How many CRP acres are they wanting to subsidize? Are they going to continue to subsidize programs like EQIP and CSP and CREP and all these other federal program cost sharing programs? Are they going to want to keep that around? Or and also, how long does this war drag out with Iran? Ground will be viewed differently if we're at war for the next 6 months, year and a half. I think that'll drastically change how we view the acres in our country and what we want them to be accomplishing for us.
Riley, what do you think?
I think that I'm cautiously hopeful, but I think it's important that they take the time to really consider, what kinds of things are going to come down the pipe with changes here. But my concern is overwhelmingly that we'll get lost in the details, especially around SNAP. It's a very polarizing issue. It's turned into something people have politicized, and at risk of making meaningful change, nothing happens, and we do a continuation of the 2018 Farm Bill like there has been, and the same factors that have been squeezing everybody in farm country are gonna continue to exist. Fertilizer prices, diesel prices, these things don't go away. So even if lawmakers are prudent and make a few changes when it comes down to certain programs, my fear is that the wider concerns in ag aren't going anywhere. When we talk about people working ground, renting ground, foreign investments, investing firms, development, all these larger issues are kind of being talked about a little bit, but aren't in the Farm Bill 2.0.
I think it'd be interesting to look back at, because I really think that what's going on in Iran is going to really impact farming this coming year. It'd be interesting to look back at, I remember in 2008, fuel prices really spiked up over $4 a gallon. And look maybe back at some of those similar timelines where you have some of those, like fuel is going to be a huge input cost this year if things stay where they're at right now. And it'd be interesting to look back and see, was there a farm bill passed during, well, surely there was while we were in Afghanistan and Iraq long enough to where there was multiple farm bills. Well, 2018, we did not leave Afghanistan until 2021. So that'd be an example there. So it would be interesting to look back and see what kind of precedent there's been for I am thankful. A lot of times I think people are not thankful that like SNAP and school lunches, for example, other big programs are part of the Farm Bill. But I think it's an overall net positive, because even though, those can be like really heavily debated things, they're important things, right? Like you can only kick those cans for so long before our country has to.
You're saying they have to look at the farm
right?
bill.
It's got to be dealt with.
Well,
right?
not only that, but farm and food should probably be pretty connected.
Right,
and the only reason where people get upset that they're connected is because, like, why are they connecting all that food for kids' lunches to do? What does that have to do with what I grow on my fields? It's like that maybe they should be really connected.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I'm curious to see, because Riley, you were saying that Brazil was even looking at ethanol right now.
Well, they have ethanol plants. They're going to have more. I mean, they have 2 growing seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't even deal with the ethanol we have, unless the rest of the world decides they're going to eat cornflakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the rest of their lives, or I don't know.
Well, I wonder with what we have going on the land in the 70s, get big or get out. I don't agree with that. I don't think we should have done that, hindsight 2020, but I understand the thinking. We wanted to compete at a global market level. Problem is that global market is now gone. And
Right.
So are we going to keep subsidizing? We changed to get into it. Now we might have to change to get out of it. It was painful going in. Maybe it needs to be painful going out.
It's not the lever that it used to be for trade, because there's other places to get that product.
And we to be fair, I think we're still the world's leading innovator that isn't like a government run country, because those get very efficient. But I think we're the world's leading innovator, but our lead in innovation has shrunk dramatically. And our incentive to innovate has shrunk dramatically, because when you get $100 billion, $1 trillion companies, I do think a bunch of them are trying to innovate. I mean, I look at Google and they're trying. I do think they are trying to innovate. But a lot of those companies are, especially the ones you don't hear about in the news, they are happy to have their legislation capture and their market capture and just kind of sit behind the scenes. And so some of our best, most powerful companies are worth 10, 50, $100 billion. And they're like, we just kind of dominate this market and we're good. And there's no demand for innovation. Whereas other countries who are trying to compete with the United States said, we need to innovate. We need to get very quick, very fast. And the wealth, I think some of the markets in the United States dried up for some companies. And so they started selling their superior products to other countries, which I don't blame them. They like John Deere. They like saturated what they could do in the United States farming. Then they saturated the lawn market and they did all these things and they're working with giant equipment. And then they say, well, what do we do next? Well, we'll ship a bunch of stuff to Central America and Brazil. I don't fault them for doing that, but now those countries are catching up. I don't fault them for catching up. I think they should, and they should try to do that. But now our innovative edge is shrinking. And so we don't have the market edge. We're not the cheapest. We're not, and we're kind of making enemies around the world. And so they're like, well, we'll just buy our corn elsewhere. If that's good or not, I don't know. It's above my pay grade. But if we're going to go down that route, we need to decide, okay, we're not winning the corn game. We better figure a different game. We better find a game that we're really good at, find a different game. And that's, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm curious how much of the farm bill will contain, because it didn't have E15. There wasn't talk of like a full-fledged allowance of E15 across the nation all year.
Well, yeah, but I think happening independently of the farm bill, President Trump said, back in January or February when the latest ruling, when it got shot down, right?
Yeah.
Was that back in February?
I think
It was either end of January or early February. President Trump, I believe, if I remember correctly, came back and said this is something he wants to see happen, right? So going back to what you said earlier, right, wrong, or indifferent, when and I think it's probably been true to a large extent for most presidents, when the president says, I'm going to make this a priority to happen, you're probably going to see it again. And if E15 becomes how do you word it? If it becomes saleable year round, and available at the pump year round, then I think that will take some of the urgency off of passing a farm bill.
Yeah.
And I think it will change how that farm bill is then written too.
I also wonder with the Secretary of Ag, I think she is fighting for what she thinks is the best for farmers. I do.
Brooke Rollins.
Brooke Rollins. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. I think that Brooke Rollins is fighting for what she thinks is the best for farmers in her role as Secretary of Ag. But a lot of our representatives go to Washington and they fight for our economic status instead of our way of life
Right.
or our culture
Yes.
or what actually makes humans satisfied and happy,
Yeah.
which isn't money. I don't know if that's new to anyone. Sorry. But,
Yeah.
and so,
And there's been a whole lot of fighting on the side of money lately.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the whole corn E15 thing, we're just fighting for money. We're not fighting, I guess maybe culture, because then we can keep growing corn how we do it. But like, we're not fighting for small town communities. You know what I mean? We're not fighting to keep our young kids living here. We're not fighting for water quality. We're not fighting for our hospitals to be more robust. We're not fighting for better teacher salaries. We're just fighting for corn. I don't know. It just seems underwhelming.
We're fighting to keep doing what we're doing, like it's good enough.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to create demand that the consumer hasn't brought to the table, right? We're trying to legislatively create that demand.
Yeah.
And whereas most other markets, it's, well, what does the consumer want? And I'll rise to make the good or service that the consumer demands for, right? And that's not what would be happening in that case.
Yeah, and I know we've talked
Which
about
has
it.
kind of become the problem with the corn market, right? Is just like we're talking about with Brazil, we have such an abundance of supply that we need there to be more demand.
Yeah.
And there's two ways to do that, right? Either it's, well, probably three, right? Get more consumers, legislate more demand, or cut back on supply to increase demand. And
I
we
get
probably need to, the healthiest thing is probably the third option. Create some scarcity a little bit. And
some scarcity. I've been wanting my wife to spend more time with me, so I've been losing weight. Figure if there was less of me to go around, she would love me a little longer.
Did you tell her it was about supply and demand, the free market?
down to one love handle.
No, man. All right. At Hoxie Native Seeds, our mission is to provide native seed and education for landowners and land managers that care about their ground. So the education, we're doing that through the podcast and interviewing experts and the stuff we put out through our website. But the native seed that we provide, whether we grew it or we work with other producers that grew it, we are here to provide that for you. It's what keeps the lights on for us, and it's what we love to do. Most of our seeds grown right here on our farm, HoxieNativeSeeds.com. Oh, and if you need a little help with consultation, not sure what to put on your ground, we would be happy to help you with that as well. Give us a call, HoxieNativeSeeds.com. I had another topic, but I just want to go over it real quick because we talked about it, and I was quickly humbled when I was looking into it. And I knew you couldn't discriminate on taxes, but I'd never equated it with, I was just thinking like gender, race, religion kind of a thing. It is very illegal to have different tax brackets for people in state or out of state. That is like strictly unconstitutional. The people who found the way around it was Montana. They said,
wait. So you're saying like if you own are you talking
property tax.
taxes?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
I was like, wait, sales tax? There's a
No.
lot.
Yeah, each state can have a different, but you pay the same. Yeah. Anyway, you pay the same sales tax. So, or the same property tax, no matter where you live. Well, the way that Montana got around it is they didn't say who owned it. They said it's a use tax. How much do you use it? So what percentage of the year are you in that house? Which is brilliant because if you're in the house a lot of the year, you're connected to your neighbors, you're connected to all this other stuff that goes on. I'm here for that. I think that totally makes sense. Problem with land is, are you going to tell people you have to live on the farm? You know what I mean? And now what if they live in town, but their farm's right out of town?
My guess in the case of Montana, which is a great ranching state, so I'm sure there's a lot of money tied up in ranches where the owner of the ranch does not live there, does not reside there. But I bet there's a big vacation home part of that non-resident landowner side too. Wouldn't you guess? That's just me speculating. I mean, I would say that Montana, just in my recent time there, is becoming a lot like Colorado in the 90s and early 2000s.
Or
just
Hawaii.
like it's like booming, all these people moving there, and it's kind of becoming the place to be. Usually you see those places have a lot of Airbnbs and vacation rentals pop up along with it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's a very strong part of their economic market, but I hope they figure something out like Hawaii did, where I think in Hawaii you can own a home you reside in and one rental home.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think if you're out of
they're
state,
basically just trying to play the ratio of where is it helpful to us versus where's their drop off.
which
it makes
that's
sense.
brilliant,
Yeah.
But I don't know. For Iowa, it gets really tough with farmland.
Yeah.
Now it is very legal to tax out of country landowners, obscenely. So my plan about the family video in Knoxville is not going to work. It's not going to work. Oh man! But I did have a friend say that because this person will they'll sell it, but their thing is like they want 2 or 3 times. No, like 10 times as much as it's worth. I mean, like crazy amount of money.
If you had $1 billion, would you buy it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He didn't even pause.
If you had $1 million, would you buy it?
I couldn't for $1 million. I couldn't even buy half of it for $1 million.
Okay, so it's worth $2.5 million.
Well, it's not
if you had
worth $2.5 million.
If you were given $2.5 million,
I would.
would you blow it all on buying that family video?
No, I would pay all my debt and family's debt first. I would do that if I had passed that. Yeah, it's one of the top dreams.
All right,
of my life.
what if you could take out a loan? You get $1 million, or no, you get $1.5 million. You got to get a loan for another $1 million.
No, it's not worth the $1 million that you put on the loan. It's honestly, I'm
just trying to see where your virtue signal.
How big of a virtue? It's maybe worth $500,000. Maybe. I mean, the building is. It's just on it. It touches. It's on a corner of 2 of our 4 most prominent streets in Knoxville.
Yes.
And so and
thank you for that.
You got to think of the value of finding a VHS tape that was like behind a wall somewhere. That's easily worth $1 million right there.
No, well, here's what it is. I was joking with account.
What if somebody just moved in there and set up shop?
What do you mean?
I mean, they're not. I guess they'd have to.
If they were using it, yeah. But it's just an empty lot.
No, I'm saying what if I'm sure it's illegal in some ways, but what if somebody just started running a business if they're remote?
Because the person's never there.
Powered up with a generator.
You know what? I wouldn't say a thing. I would be like, man, good for you, and I'd go visit.
The city
that place.
just needs to give them free utilities to set up a regular.
Well, but here's the deal. I was saying, okay, if you hold the buying price at millions of dollars, that's fine, but maybe you should be taxed at that assessed value instead of the, you know what I mean? If you say that's what it's worth, great.
This guy's going to come across our podcast and he's going to buy the bank where all your debt is at and he's going to call you on all your
That's why you always have friends at other banks. So they can bail you out. Oh, man, that's funny. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Before you go, a couple of housekeeping things. We are right about 2 weeks. We're right about 2 weeks from having the Prairie Farm Forum. We have talked about it at the Iowa Prairie Network. We've never talked about it here on the podcast. And here's the point. Google hates Facebook. Why is that relevant? Facebook has some pretty good information in some of those groups. Some people who really know what they're talking about with managing habitat, putting in a new habitat, finding remnants, identifying species. Problem is, when you Google that stuff, it will never show you Facebook because Google hates Facebook. So what are we doing about it? We're starting a little forum, and we're going to dub people prairie experts so that you can sort by people that really know what they're doing, what they're talking about. We've been in contact with literally dozens of people who really know what they're talking about, who are on board, want to be on these things. So you guys can ask questions, because the truth is, when we answered a bunch of your questions last year, we knew a bunch of answers. There were some we didn't know the answer to, and we couldn't have answered them, and we could only get to a limited amount of them. You wouldn't believe how many emails we get every single day through our different channels and even just comments on social media. It's like we just can't get back to them, and I feel terrible about that because you guys are genuinely asking these questions, and I genuinely can't help you all the way, but there are people out there that can. So it'll be up soon. We'll have a link soon. I think we're 2 weeks or less from when you're listening to this to actually having it up. And then at the same time, we'll have merch up, but we're being really picky about the shirts and the sweatshirts and stuff so that they're actually re-wearable instead of just putting out garbage in the world. You guys can use this as one of your 8 shirts that you have, because I know all of you.
Please have
Nick
more than 8
desperately
shirts.
needs. We're also going to sell Nick's Facebook reel sweater that you see in literally every reel that Nick is in. We're gonna sell that
There's
sweater.
two. There's the Aztec looking blue one, and then there's this purple one I'm wearing right now.
What about
The elastic on the Aztec one is on the sleeves. Has gotten pretty floppy.
You want to hear something tragic? I've gained about 10 pounds since last summer, and the shirt, I'm like, I need to go buy all new shirts, because otherwise when we do the summer podcast, I'm only wearing a shirt. People will be like, yeah, that dude gained some weight.
different shirt tells the story.
Oh man. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you again next time.